Miniature Market has thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below for Deduckto or any other game. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be detectives, or duck-tectives. We're going to be trying to find out who is the suspect, what disguise are they wearing, and where are they at. And the first one to deduce this is going to be the winner. This is a family / kind of kids game, a deductive game from Game Right. Picked it up at Gen Con. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In Deduckto, you're going to try to figure out your suspect, your disguise, and your location that is the secret thing that you're trying to figure out. Everyone has a different one. Like a fox in the city with a wig, or a cat in the park with glasses, a bird with a cap in the winter, in the sort of waterland, the desert, the bear with the monocle, or the pig in the docks with the mask, if you will. So here's a player aid showing you all the different suspects, 7 of them, 7 disguises, and 7 locations. Now there's only 49 cards, so even though there's actually I think it's like 349 different combinations, there's actually only 49 because like the fox with the glasses is going to be in one of these. There's not a card for the fox glasses in every single one of these. There's only fox with the glasses and the fox with all the other 6 things, but they're always in just one location. Now at the beginning of the game, everyone is dealt 5 cards that they have secretly, and 1 card that they can't see but everyone else can see. This is your secret card that you're trying to figure out the suspect, disguise, and location. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to get 1 seeded information from one of your neighbors, and there's 2 sides of this. Let's just call this the yes side and the no side. I wish those were sort of labeled here, but this is telling me, yes, my secret card is either a bird or glasses or desert. At least one of those is true, but it might be more than one, who knows. So on your turn, very simply, you're going to pick one of your cards and you're going to put it in front of you. Everyone else will look at it and tell you whether, yes, at least one of these things is true with your secret card, or no. If it's no, I'd put it over here. If they say yes, then I'm going to say, okay, so now I probably know that it's likely the sunglasses, right? Because if this was a yes, it had to have been one of these 3 things. So in here, it's like this, and you can put them like this. So here, I know that both of these things are true about my suspect. I then draw a card to refill my hand up to 5, and next player's turn. So let's say the next question is this, and they say no. So now I know it's not this location, not a bandana, and not a pig. But now I also know it's not sunglasses, so I know the 2 yeses had nothing to do with the sunglasses. So it's either this location and this, or this, or this. So I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit to 2 of the things. So maybe I get here, maybe I want to make a guess, because look at this, I got dog, dog, dog. So I think it's maybe a dog. Can't be a monocle, so that's not it. Can't be blue, so that's not it. It has to be the dog. Well then why was this a yes? Is it the dog in the desert, or is it the dog in the sunglasses? I don't have any, I have a no for sunglasses, so I know it can't be because of that. So maybe it's because it's got to be the dog in the desert. So maybe I make a guess. Maybe I go dog, desert, mask. And everyone says yes or no. If it's no, I have to select one of these piles and flip it over so I can't see them. If I get a second no later in the game, I flip over the other pile. If I get a third no, I'm eliminated. But then next time I go, maybe it's dog, desert, and wig, and they say yes. And then I would win immediately, which is one of the things I don't like because you don't get equal turns and whoever's first turn gets more turns. But amazing game. Let's go up top and I'll tell you what I think about it. All right, now before I get to my final thoughts, I want to let you know that if you like my content, there's now ways to get bonus content like first impression videos well before a review will come out, or for many games I don't even end up reviewing. You can even vote for which games get reviewed on the channel. You can also see me opening up packages and getting content earlier than everyone else. And now you can see what you're missing with a free 7-day trial at patreon.com/GameBoyGeek. Just want to preface this by saying deduction games are my favorite genre. Even when they're kids games, like last year, Museum Suspects came out from Blue Orange Games. Amazing family level deduction game. This actually is more streamlined, but it's still great. This is a fantastic, quick deduction game. It also obviously has adorable art. I love the art in this game. It just looks so cool. They got the cards right. If they had put black bordered cards on this, I would have been all over it on this. They're smart. They put white bordered cards because everyone knows that cards in deduction games, if you can tell a nicked corner, which happens often in black bordered cards, it would have caused problems. I'm glad they got this right with the white bordered cards. So it doesn't show nicks. So in a deduction game, that's really important. So you don't need to sleeve these. The card quality is good. Now this game is streamlined, but it does have depth in sort of a bite-sized game. There's not a lot of like really short filler deduction games that are good. There's a few of them out there that are maybe 15, 20 minute long, but maybe there's a lot of rules overhead, or maybe it just takes a little bit to get things going. Maybe it's more prone to having someone give you the wrong answer or whatever. But I'm telling you what, if I had 10 minutes, I mean, that's all this takes with teaching. I mean, teaching takes a minute, literally. It's a 10-minute game. But if I have 10 minutes and I want to get a little bite-sized, good, I mean, it's light, it's streamlined, but it still has a decent amount of things to think about. And I love that about this. This is probably my favorite sort of quick filler deduction game now. Now, like all deduction games, not all, most deduction games, I should say, the Achilles heel of deduction games is if someone gives you incorrect information, your game is broken. And in this game, it's harder for that to happen if you're playing with more than 2 players, because you ask the group, hey, is this part of my solution or not? Yes. Okay, and you can always just get a second one. Have at least 2 people verify it. And if 2 people verify it, almost always this isn't going to happen. If you play a 2-player game, someone might. I did have one game with a 2-player, not calling anybody out, Dad. He gave me a wrong clue. He says that I put it in the wrong pile, which is going to get to one of my negatives in a minute. So anyway, it doesn't happen as often in this game as it does in others, because as long as you're playing more than 2 players, you can verify it. And now, the cards themselves. So I like that you don't have a note sheet. I'm like a stickler for like deduction games need note sheets. You need to be able to say yes or no, and which ones I like. I did logic puzzles as a kid in bed every night. I still love to like make note sheets, even in games that don't have them, like Cryptid. It's a pretty heavier deduction game with a lot of stuff going on, but you don't need sheets because the way the game is. But I still made sheets because I found it sort of easier for my brain to grasp everything. And in this game, you really don't need it because all the cards in front help you. But the cards in front of other players help you too. If you've got it narrowed down to like 2 things, like it's the dog, it's the desert, for example, you can look around and see what else possibly might it not be, or you can look around and you know what, that card's already out there. It can't be that. It's not that one, right? So you can kind of like mentally cross things off the list in your head as to what things it possibly be based on what cards are out there as well. This next one is actually like brilliant game design. Is that if you think of suspects, 7 disguises, 7 locations. I think when I did the calculation when I first played the game, I think it's like 349 possible combinations, but it's not. There's only 49 cards in the game. And so it makes you feel like there's 349 possible combinations, but there's really only 49 because each animal in disguise is only in one of the locations. So each animal suspect will have 7 different disguises, but they're also in 7 different locations. And so, like, for example, the dog with the sunglasses, they're only going to be at one location. And so even though it feels like the game is big, it's really not. It's really only 49 possibilities because there's only 49 cards in the game, which it kind of hides that. And I think that was really clever. More about this in a minute because I wanted to try what it would be like with trying all 349. So anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, this game replaces the classic mass market deduction game Guess Who for me. And it does for a reason. Some people might say, well, I like Guess Who because I can say whatever I want. I'm not limited to the cards in front of me, right? And I gotta say, limited cards in front of you, I think that's actually a good thing here because it makes you think differently. In Guess Who, you can get really good at, a systematic way of asking questions. And some people might like that, you can get better at, but once you've sort of cracked the code, there's not that much game there. You kind of follow your procedural thing, you go down a thing. Here, you're given cards, you don't know what they are. You might want something and you might not get it. And that's part of the game. As you're narrowing it down, you're like, oh, I really need one with a city. But no, but I like this because A, it makes you change your style up every game. And in certain instances, it's like, oh, it'd be really better if I had the city, but you know what? I still need to figure out mustache or glasses. I'll go with that now. Hopefully I'll get a city later. And it really like makes you pivot. It makes you think differently. It makes you think, with what I have, what is the thing that's gonna help me rule out the most information right now? And that I like better than just coming up with a systematic thing where there's no luck and you're just like going down. So I actually like this better than Guess Who. On the negative side of things, you know, we talked about earlier about wrong info breaks the game. They really should have had a yes on the side of the player aid and a no on the side of the player aid. Because again, my dad swears that he said no and I put it on the yes side, for example, where I know that he gave me the wrong answer. It would have taken up like almost zero space there. Yes on the left, no on the right, or vice versa, whatever. But keep it consistent with everybody for every game, right? They should have just done that to keep that from happening. Because again, maybe my dad did give me the right answer. I did put it in the wrong pile. That's on me, but you should have something there to blockade that, especially when something like that breaks the game. Again, the game is random, so you might not be getting the card that you need to finalize. That might be a negative, but again, I like the aspect of the randomness here. And there's even much deeper deduction games that are as streamlined as this. The late great Sid Sackson did Sleuth in 1971, which is still one of my favorite deduction games. And there you have cards in front of you, I think there's 5, that you get to choose the question you're asking. Even in that game, that is amazing. One of the best deduction games ever has that little bit of randomness there. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Some people might. If you don't like any randomness in your deduction games, you're not gonna like this, but most deduction games have some level of randomness in it. The cards themselves, I wish they would have had a little plastic stand to hold your little suspect, right? It may like nick the card a little bit, but maybe you can find ones that don't. Yes, maybe you might tip it over by accident and the game's over. But every time that you ask them a question, you're drawing a card, you're looking at your cards. And the way you hold your cards is like, they're good, easy for you to see. But then you always find myself going, you always have to like ask and then you have to like flip your cards up and then show it. It just would have been easy if it was like right there, because so many times like, wait a minute, let me see your card again after someone asks a question, because you're not constantly holding cards like this, you know, as you play. You're looking at your cards normally. So a little stand, I think, would have been better than just putting it backwards. May have increased the cost a little bit, though. Another big problem is the first player has an advantage because you're going to get more turns, and it's a race. If you figure yourself out first, you win. First player has an advantage. Again, this is a kid or family game, so they probably didn't want to care about it. I think they should have had a tiebreaker where everyone gets even turns, and that would really put pressure on people to guess if someone ahead of them in turn order guessed it. Also put pressure on people early in the turn order to be like, I think they're getting close. I better try to guess it, right? But if multiple players guess in the first round, then you can say whoever flipped less piles, which means whoever got it right without getting it wrong wins. If it's tied, then the player that had more cards in the pile loses because they had less information, good information to go on, for example. That's it. So there are some things that could have improved the game, but the game is fantastic. And again, I don't have a quick 10-minute deduction game with this little rules overhead that has a decent amount of depth. I mean, it's bite-sized, it's light, but it's fun. And for that reason, it is getting a Saxophone Serenade, my highest honor, so let's hit it. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.